All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Job Nimbus Contractor Survival Guide. I am so excited that you guys are here, and I hope that you have really enjoyed the series that you guys are going through right now. And actually, I just wanted to take a few minutes. And my name is Ronnie Smith. I'm actually the director of the customer success team. And today, we just want to take some time and talk about some job nimbus solutions and kind of some strategies that you guys can use. And I just wanted to take a couple minutes to introduce myself. A lot of people have asked me, hey, how did you find job nimbus and where did you come from and those types of things. And so I just want to take a couple minutes and kind of talk to you about that. But I've been doing business consulting and business coaching. Actually, I had to look at it the other day. I kept telling everybody 15 years. I'm like, holy crap, it's been 18 years that I've been doing this with residential and commercial construction. So I do actually have a background in the residential and commercial construction industry. And I have been with Job Nimbus, I guess, for about 4.5 years. And a lot of people say, well, how did that happen? And so pretty much I kind of own a consulting firm, and I started out just like you guys and had a client that found Job Nimbus, and we kind of found each other and started working with them and getting them set up. And I was calling in and asking a lot of questions about how Job Nimbus would work. And I found out that through the process that I was like, holy crap, this is a really good software that will help a lot of small businesses. And so through the relationships, 4.5 years later, here we are. I came on full time about I guess a little over a few years ago, and partnered up with these guys and love them dearly. They're great people. They're good friends of mine, and we have spent the last 4.5 years in developing a onboarding process. And so it's kind of nice to see where we started from and to where we are now, and have a team of people that are actually helping everybody on board and come on board and use our systems. And a lot of times, when people will say, well, what's a little bit of your background? This is just some highlights. In the last, over the 18 years I've been doing this, I've been doing a lot of sales training, staffing, doing permanent placements. I do have a background in EEO investigations. I've done a lot of process development. I love processes. I love digging into processes, and I like solving problems. And I've done a lot of leadership trainings and just teaching people how to pretty much be organized. And so that's just a little bit about me, and just kind of where I came from, and my experience in this industry. And I'm just excited to spend the next few minutes with you guys and talking with you about some of the things that you can do. When I began to sit down and put this presentation together for you guys, I just wanted to really talk to you a little bit about some tips and some tricks, some things that you can use. And when I actually wrote this out, as far as are you tooled for social distancing, you know, really and truly it boils down, are we tooled every day? Even beyond the social distancing of what's happening right now, but it's even more important to be tooled and to make sure that you are maximizing everything that you can in order to be able to connect with your customers, to be able to talk with your customers. And so when I was putting this together, I've just kind of picked four, really three of the features in here, and I want to take a few minutes and talk with you guys some of the things that you can do. And my goal that I would love to see out of here, if you guys could pull one or two nuggets out of this presentation today, and that you can utilize for your team and make a huge impact today, then that's what I'd like to do. So we're going to kind of go ahead and just jump into these things, and want to spend a few minutes in talking to you in regards to these. I love questions. I love people, the interaction. So please feel free. If you have a question, just let me know. So one of the things I want to talk about and just kind of start this conversation off is the mobile app. We have people that use the mobile app pretty frequently, and I picked kind of maybe three or four of my favorites that I actually use a lot, or I talk about a lot. So one of the things that I will tell you is the add mention feature. And one of the things about the add mention feature is it gives you the ability and it allows you to communicate with your team. Internally, it allows you to actually go in here and date and timestamp conversations to what's taking place. So instead of texting outside of the actual mobile app, you can do an at mention. That way it kind of like documents in the thread to what's happening. So that is actually one of the greatest things. And for people that actually know me, and over the years, I have really just looked at statistics and found that communication is a number one problem that most of you guys face over a period of time. And so I will tell you that this ad mention will give a lot of visibility into your projects. It holds people accountable. So if you're not using that feature, I definitely just highly recommend that you do that. The other one is our caller ID. Now, from my understanding, and I kind of updated this just to make sure, but we do have a caller ID functionality on our mobile device, and that caller ID will display when a customer is calling. Now, from my understanding right now, it's primarily on the iPhones, from my understanding, that you can use this. But I will tell you that this is a great feature that if you can utilize it, I would, especially right now, because if you don't know who's calling, you don't answer the phone. I've actually have missed some great deals just because I didn't know who was calling me. And inside this caller ID, showing it up, who it is, job Nimbus customer, is a really good thing. Another thing about the mobile app that is really, really, really cool is that it will actually log the length of the call, but after you hang up and you call the customers from out of the mobile app, you can actually document that conversation. And the importance of really documenting this stuff is that if someone's in the office and they go pull a customer up and someone's in the field, it's extremely useful to know what's happening, because a lot of times we have, hey, let me call you back. I need to call the salesperson to see what's going on. So this is just a good way for you guys to be able to communicate and know who's calling you. Use the at mention feature. I will tell you that we do actually have a texting and an email. And I want to just talk about texting for a second. Right now, we do have a one-way texting that goes out from the mobile device. And what happens is you can text the customer and it will date it and timestamp it. And you can communicate through a texting that way. Now, my understanding is that not too long ago, I don't have all of the details, but I believe we have an integration that if you're interested in those texts coming back in, that you can utilize the actual integration for that to bring those back in. But it's really good to where if you can get your sales team to really actually use the mobile app, use these functions, it just gives you so much visibility, especially even now, even more so with everything that is going on. Emails. I wanted to take a minute and just kind of talk about the emails for a second, and then I'm going to pause here in just a second and let you guys ask a question if you have one. But one of the things about our email templates is it can really become a very useful source for you. So if you have not taken the time to get into the templates and lay these out, you can use these emails in several different ways. So one of the things that I have actually done in the past with a lot of our customers is that if you can go in and create the email templates that you want to use and kind of standardize the message of what you're telling the customers. And what I mean by that is if you created an email template that's a welcome email, so like when you reach a signed contract status, we're going to talk about automations in a minute to how these emails can automatically go out to a customer. We'll get to that in just a second. But having all of these email templates in there with the mobile device, your salespeople can just go in and actually pick what they want to send, whether it's a welcome email, whether it's a thank you email, or pulling any type of permits or anything. So those are some of the things with emails, and then we'll talk about that in the automations and how you can trigger automations to send an email out to a customer without pretty much you doing too much heavy lifting. And then the other thing I'll tell you just real quick is our payments. We actually have an integration through WePay. And right now, especially with the social distancing, even if you are using another platform for taking credit cards or even taking electronic checks, you can actually take payments right through the mobile app, but you can also use it on the desktop. So if you create an invoice and you send it to a customer, the customer can click on the little green button and they can make their payments right through there. And so those are just some cool features that you can use with the mobile app. So I want to pause a second. I don't know if there's any questions about this before I get into the reporting. Do we have any questions regarding the mobile app?
Ronnie,
we have one question on here. It says, can you create text templates?
To my knowledge, no, not as a text, where it just kind of puts it in as a template. We don't have that functionality. I know you can with your emails, but text templates, that would be a great idea, and we'd love for you to put that on our user voice. But to my knowledge, right now, we cannot do an actual template for texting. Great question, though. Thank you for asking that question.
All right, you guys, any others before Ronnie continues? All right.
So
what text options are you integrating with?
So to my knowledge, and maybe Sarah could speak on this, and I think Ben's on this phone call as well, but I believe that we have an integration with a company called like Magic Texting, is the one that we integrated with that allows those texts to come back in. From my understanding, is Sarah, is that correct, or Ben, is that correct? Am I telling them right on that?
I know you can integrate through Zapier, and there's some texting applications on Zapier. Zapier's
Okay.
got access to thousands of different apps, of which a handful are texting. You do have to set it up, though. It does take some time, but it's possible.
Awesome.
Ronnie, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, this is Ben here, and we did a Zapier integration just so, because a bunch of different people are using different text platforms and SMS platforms. So we just said, well, here, you guys can integrate with whatever you want. So our team can help you set that up if you're interested in that. The part that Ronnie talked about of sending out text, that's just built right into the mobile app. You can do it anytime and it'll capture them. If you want it to automatically send out text, meaning using our automations tool, that's where you'd use the Zapier stuff. And we can help you set that up. And then it can just auto send a text. And in those cases, if you're doing it automated, you can also use templates to send too. So sort of like your email templates, you can send text templates through that Zapier integration.
Oh, nice. Nice. Thank you, Ben. All right, is there any other questions before I keep moving on and getting into a little bit of the reporting?
Ronnie, doesn't look like it, so you can go ahead and move forward, sir.
Nice, thank you. All right, so let's talk a little bit on actual reports. When you're talking about reports, and right now visibility is key right now. And what you're looking at on the right-hand side with this sales, this is actually a new sales reporting that we have available. And if you guys have not downloaded this to it, you can definitely, there's a link that you can get that will help you to do this. And so when I was thinking about some of the things that are really, really key and important, I would tell you reporting is huge. And running these sales reports, it kind of will allow you to conduct sales meetings. So even like right now, we're doing this Zoom meeting, and if you have the information that you need to be able to run like a sales meeting, even though you are doing it through Zoom, or if even after this, if you're not holding sales meetings right now with your team, you should. And one of the cool things about this particular report that you're looking at on the right, that it allows you to see how many leads that a salesperson is getting, And I don't know, some of you may be using our estimates, you may not be using our estimates, but even if you created an estimate, you could kind of see like what's in that pipeline. It's going to show you what's been sold. And another cool thing about these sales reports is that you start running them, whether it's residential or commercial or anything to that nature. But if you're looking at this, it helps you to also see which one of your sales team is maybe struggling. Maybe they're underperforming, and maybe Charles here is just knocking it out of the park for you. And then maybe you want to let some of your sales team ride along with Charles and kind of see how they're pitching things to the customer. And so this is just a couple things that are good by running these reports. And I will tell you, one of the biggest things that I will tell you by running these reports is review the customer leads. Now, you guys spend a lot of money in regards of getting leads, whether it's social media, whether it's truck signs, whether it's yard signs, no matter where it's coming from, you still spend a lot of money to get these leads. And salespeople sometimes tend to have the ability to where their pipeline and on their boards or however you're tracking those, it gets really cluttered with leads that could be possibly dead leads. And right now, especially in this time, you want your salespeople to be working on the right leads that they can get to a close. Because a lot of times if it's cluttered, they don't know where they are. They could be working on the wrong ones. Maybe they've already went with someone else, and then you're working on a dead lead. So it's just really critical for your sales team, especially cleaning things up and working on those leads. And you can use these tools and to be able to actually use them for training and help your sales team win. So this is just one of the things that you can do in regards for the sales report. Another one is, this is just another view of a couple of the reports that you can use. And I really like these reports because like the revenue, the actual rate leaderboard over here, the one to the left, it has the two salespeople with Charles and Joshua. You'll see here that Charles right now in revenue he's setting a little over like 90 grand. And you see Joshua over here setting at 10 grand. And it kind of shows you what they're doing and how much they're selling. But on the other side, on the right hand side, when you're looking at the average deal size that are sold, it will break it down on each one of these salespeople so you can see what the average ticket item that they're selling. So you'll notice that Joshua's he sold a job for 10 grand and Charles has done $90,000, but he's selling smaller jobs. So these are just some really cool reports that you can get into that we released a few months back. You may have them already. For those that don't have them, I really recommend. I love the way that these are laid out just to give you good visibility on that. Another thing is so really important right now, guys, is really to know where to spend your marketing dollars. Everyone is like holding on to their cash flow. It's wanting to make sure that you're putting money in the right places that will generate you the most leads. And so through this new reporting that you see, we've always had this report. It's just laid out a little bit different, a little bit cleaner, but it gives you the ability to really see where, if you're putting money into Angie's List or actually home improvement or search engines, or if you're doing door knocking, it will show you basically how many leads came from that lead source. And then basically in the green here, basically if you sold a job for them. So if you're putting a lot of money in Angie's List and you're spending a lot of money here, but if you're not closing anything, then maybe you want to change that to where you're spending that money and put the money where it counts. And that way you know that you're not hitting a blind target. You're going to hit it dead center every time. That's going to get you the best ROI for the money that you're actually spending on that. All right, so right now I want to talk a little bit about on the reporting. I don't know how many of you guys actually use our AR reports. I will tell you, do you know where your financial health is right now? A lot of people that if you're either in QuickBooks or you're using spreadsheets, right now is an extremely important time to know the health of your cash flow. And I will tell you that if you know where you are and you know who owes you money, right now is a good time to try to collect on that money that is due to you. Also know maybe people that are struggling to pay, so you can make good business decisions. So if you're trying to get money and they don't have the money, kind of know what's going on there. But one of the things that is also truly important, that knowing where your AR is, who owes you money, who you're trying to collect from. But I kind of threw this within here. It is so important that not to forget to confirm all the materials that you ordered for a job, that those are getting back. So if you guys have like any materials that was from a job, sometimes you'll keep that material, you'll use it on another job. I know a lot of times you'll order additional materials and then you'll send it back for credits. This is probably a good time to do that. And that way it'll lower what you owe the supplier. It'll actually free up some of your cash flow. So if you are setting on materials that you haven't sent back, that's just another idea of some things that you can do there. This is kind of like what part of the AR report, so invoicing. I don't know if you're using the invoices inside of Job Nimbus or not, or whether you're doing this actually in QuickBooks. But if you are doing invoicing through Job Nimbus, you can really create some really cool reports. And the statuses that are actually right here, you can break them down. You can see what's been closed, what's been open, what is due to you. And so this just gives you some really, really, really good insight on where your money is. And so these are just a few of the reports that you can create. I want to pause a minute to see if there's any questions in regarding to the reporting before I talk about the revenue report. Is there any questions about what I've mentioned so far? Okay. All right, I'll just keep moving right along. So I want to talk about the revenue report. Now, we have a budget tool inside of Job Nimbus that is a very simple tool that you can use inside of our system. And one of the things that this will do, it will actually help you to pre-cap your jobs to see where your profit margins will land even before you do the job. And so this is a really cool tool that you can use. It's very easy to use. You can go in there and set it up. It's also a good way of knowing your cost and the commissions before you sell it. So right now with everything that's going on for those that have been affected, now some of you guys are still blowing it up and it hadn't slowed down. Some areas they have slowed down. So you may be looking at your profit margins to say, hey, I would normally hit at a certain level to sell this job. But right now, if I can still keep my employees busy, keep everything moving along, and still be able to sell it and make a little bit of money off of that job, then our revenue report would be able to do that inside of the budgets. So, do you know where your margins are? And what I have found to be hold true is there's a lot of people out there, they'll sell jobs and they think, holy crap, man, I'm selling all these jobs, man. We did $4 million last year. But the problem is they didn't hold their profit margins high enough, and they actually went in the hole, and everybody else got paid. The subcontractors got paid, the suppliers got paid, salespeople got paid, office people got paid. But from a business owner, you just didn't have enough money in there for you to kind of capitalize on that. So you kind of want to know going into it what's going on. And so this is just a picture of one of the revenue reports that I created, and you can actually break this down based off of the sales rep. So you can track each sales rep. You can go in there and put in like revenue totals, what they've sold it for, what your actual overall cost was. You can see what your gross profit is on each one of the jobs. It totals it at the bottom. But on your margins, even when you're breaking this up based on sales rep, which is kind of cool, it'll show you the gross profit margins on each job, but it will give you an average overall of what's happening. You can do that same thing with net and then your commissions. So this is just a little way you can really customize this. You can move some things around. You can set this up, report any way that you want, but it's just a really good way to put this on your actual dashboard. cool thing about our reports is that when you create a report, you can put these reports on the dashboard. So each person that is actually logged into their system, so if you have an office manager that's looking at invoice reports, or an owner that wants to see this budget report, salespeople can look at what estimates they've got out there. And when you create these reports, they're live reports. So as everyone is working with a customer and they're entering in this data, it just calculates it, and then just be able to get a really quick glance of this report is really cool. All right, forecasting. Talking about the forecasting reports, and then I'll let you guys ask some questions on this. Now, when I built this out, I don't know if you are using our estimates or not, but even if you don't use our estimates, if you created an estimate, you can get some really good information out of this. And then also with the invoices. And so create an estimate to forecast the potential business, create invoices to forecast actual business sold. So in this report, what you're looking at, in this report that you're looking at right here, so under like estimates right here, so you can tell right here what I did is I created an estimate, and it kind of showed me my potentials of what I could actually sell. And then with the invoices, if I sold that job, it kind of lets me know, hey, this is what the potential I got on the books that we can sell right now. What is real? What could I sell today to actually increase my revenues as of today? And then invoice. So this is just a good way, and you can really do some cool things with these reports. Okay, I want to pause for a second before I get into automations. Is there any questions regarding reporting, some of the things that you can do inside of the reports?
Give us one sec. So must be just... Okay, would I still be able to get a free demo, as I know there's, yes, absolutely, Stephanie. Just make sure you give us a call. Either Ronnie's team would be able to help you to just set up some of those things that you might still be missing. So definitely just reach out to us and we'll get you to the right person. If I put the info in QuickBooks, can I call that a report? Can I run the revenue report? Excuse me, sorry. Brian was texting or messaging and it looks like it went. So if I put info into QuickBooks, can I run the revenue report?
So right now, in terms of what syncs with QuickBooks, let me just talk a little bit about that. Right now, when you're syncing QuickBooks, there's two ways to do that. You can do online or the actual desktop. It doesn't matter. But currently what syncs with QuickBooks is the customers, your jobs, which is your sub-customers, your estimates, your invoices, your payments, your product and your service line items, your credit memos, and your taxes. Right now on the revenue report, so like if you're talking regarding job costing, right now our budget tool does not sync currently with QuickBooks. That is something that we are looking at for in the future for being able to do job costing, if that's what you're referring to where it would be able to sync at some point. Any other questions?
As of right now, I'm running job costing in a spreadsheet is what that was from Brian. So Brian was the one who asked you about the QuickBooks. So he just
okay, hey, Brian.
Yeah. So other than that, I'm kind of looking at, it looks like we're good to move forward.
Okay. So, and if anyone has any questions, even after this, I can send an email. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions I can for you. So let's talk about automations. And this is so huge right now. And I will tell you with automations, this is like one of the greatest features that we have. Automations is one of those things to where it's a very powerful tool. But if you don't use this tool in the right way, it can also be a little frustrating as well. So let's talk about how you can utilize these automations. So with automations, there's two different types of ways that you can use automations. There's an event-based automation, and then there's a time-based automation. With event-based automation, basically, and of course my picture's a little bit blurry, sorry about that, but when you're moving a customer, so if you're looking at incoming like approved jobs over here on your left on this little image, if you actually move that customer from like incoming approved to obtain permit, as soon as you move it, that's what kind of like an event-based is. It will actually go ahead and send out, you can do task, you can actually do email. So remember earlier on when we were talking about emails, so this is why you can go in there and really create some cool email templates, because you may create a email that says to the customer, it would say like, hey Mitch, just want to let you know we're in the process of pulling permits for your job. We're going to be back with you shortly, and we're going to be scheduling your job. Well, you really didn't do any heavy lifting other than just moving the customer from one spot to another, and it automatically sends out these really cool emails. It'll put the signature lines in there. It can come from the sales rep on those. Another thing is like when later on in the process, once you get the order and schedule the materials for the customer, hey, Mr. Customer, we're in the process of ordering your materials, just letting you know where we are. And I will tell you that through my experience and doing this for so long, there's a lot of factors that goes into this, and Ben and them have heard me preach this message for 4 years. But I will tell you, it held true, is that communication is definitely the number one problem that most people have. Expectations is number two, which means salespeople sell things at a really great way, and the people love them. And then once the job gets turned in, people don't follow up, which is number three. So you got your communications are broken, expectations are not up to the level they need to be. If you don't follow up with the customer and you spend so much money in getting to the customer and then you lose jobs, how many times have you reached out to a customer because you didn't follow up with that customer, and then, oh, I went with someone else, and then here you wasted this time, right? So with these automations, it will help you to be able to follow up with the customer without you having to manually do a lot of lifting there. The time-based automations, it works the same way, but the difference is, and this is a feature that everyone actually asks for, and we created it for you guys to be able to use it. And part of this time-based, so if you'll look at my little image over here, you'll notice we have numbers. They're right here. This is days. So in other words, when a job moves into obtain permit or into an estimate or scheduling, it will start calculating the days. Now, a lot of people will use this time-based automations in their follow-up process. And I will tell you, if you are having issues with follow-up, I would create a follow-up process board. Most of the time I see most of you guys do a like a 3-day, a 7-day, a 10-day, 15-day, up to maybe a 30-day follow-up. But with these time-based automations, you can go in there and set up an automated task or email, and it will, as soon as you move it and it sits there for 3 days, hey, Mr. Customer, it's been 3 days, just following up, seeing how you're looking for the seat. You didn't do anything. It's just been sitting there and it sent it out. So now you're following up with your customers. And I will tell you that just following up, statistics are showing that you guys are probably missing somewhere between 20-25% just because you didn't follow up. So these automations are really, really cool. And then with the automations, not only can it do emails, but you can also set up automations for tasks. So I've had several business owners that are like, hey, I'm just really busy. And one of the things that I did was, if something sits in a process too long, now I'm getting this automated task coming to me. Hey, this has been sitting here for 3 days. Then the owners are able to kind of jump in. Hey, what's going on? How come you haven't moved it? And so I would encourage you to get with your teams and talk about your processes, talk about how long things should sit in a certain process, and kind of start structuring some of these automations. Do we have any questions in regards to the actual, we're at 10:30. We got a few more minutes for questions. So I just wanted to see if there's any questions about automations that you'd like to ask me.
Yeah, interesting enough, I don't know if you guys saw the poll, but it did look about 50% of you guys are still not really using automations. Like Ronnie said, it could definitely help. So feel free to reach out to us. to get help on setting those up, because it definitely can benefit and make your life so much easier. So Ronnie, we do have a question. So how do I create a monthly budget for fixed costs? If I have to create a contact, I hate having to use so many things. It would be nice to do everything in one place. Do you have a suggestion for Paul of how he can kind of condense and do everything in one place?
Well, first of all, what's up, buddy? How are you, man? I mean, you're looking good, by the way, all that weight you losing. Hey, so listen, man, on the budget tool, let's talk about that. Inside of the budget tool, you can go in there and you can put fixed costs in that budget. So every time that you're creating it, and if you know what those fixed costs are, you can go ahead and put that dollar amount in there. So that way, when you create a budget, if you go into settings, go into your budget, and then you can add additional line items to that. So for an example, a lot of people are using what we call overhead. It's not the overhead and profit from an insurance. A lot of people will charge anywhere from 10 to 15%, and they're putting that in there to help absorb some of the administrative cost and stuff like that. But if you said, hey, I want to go in here because this costs me this every month. So every time you create a budget, it will just automatically put it in there, and it will already be in the cost for you. So even when you play around with the contractual price of what you're selling it for, it would break that down. So if you said dumpster, let's talk about dumpster. Dumpster is like a cost that you may use if you get dumpsters. Let's say that Eagle View, if you're pulling Eagle Views or something to like that, and you're doing that on every job, you can go ahead and set that line item in the budget, put a cost to it. You could even do it on your credit card feeds if you want to. So if you wanted to put that in there as part of your cost, or finance charges. If you guys are using Green Sky, you got all that back end money, and a lot of times you sell a lot of jobs and you're like, holy crap, I'm gonna make really good money, and then you found out you got to pay 17% to Green Sky on the back end. So you can go in there and put those costs in there, and so every time that you create a new budget, it's just already there, and then if it wasn't a part of that cost, then you can just exit it out. Did that answer your question, Paul?
Keeping an eye on everything. He did say, "Thanks, Ronnie. Great to hear you."
It's good. It's good to see you, buddy. Or I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Yeah. So Paul just said yes, thanks. We did have one from Dan. Dan's been one of our guys every single webinar. He's been a part of it. I don't know if we have the capability of doing this, but he says, "Is there any way we could quickly go through a quick automation and just see how easy it is?" I don't know if you have your Job Nimbus set up in the background, Ronnie, if that's even a possibility. But if not, Dan, we'll have someone get in touch with you if Ronnie can't do it right now.
I tell you what, let's see if we can pull this off. If y'all don't mind giving me a second, I'm gonna pause the screen so I can let me just see what I can do here.
Are there any other questions while Ronnie's doing that maybe myself or Sarah or Ben can answer while he's trying to get that going?
We'll give it a shot here. We'll see what we can do.
Okay, question, caller ID working with Android? Question mark, does it work with Android or just Apple?
What's that? Oh, caller ID?
Caller ID.
The caller ID, from my understanding right now, based on what I asked yesterday, it was strictly for the iPhone. Ben, can you talk into that? Because that's just what I was told. Is that correct? Is that a true statement?
Yeah, I don't know who told you that. It works for both. In fact, it's easier to make happen on Android than on Apple devices.
Okay.
So
Okay.
maybe there's some unknown issue right now that I'm not aware of that's holding it back, and they're working on a bug fix, but I'm not aware of that right now. I think it works on both.
Okay, great. So yes. So to whoever's asking that question, then that is correct. So my information was not correct. So cool. All right. So let me see here. Let me share my screen with you guys. Can y'all see my screen?
Yeah, really quickly, one question though before you go into that, and I think this is a great question for Ben. Actually, it was directed to you from Jason. He says, if we wanted to keep things simple, is standard okay, or is the pro license really the way to go?
Let's see here. Did you say standard?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's basic.
Probably means basic.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I would say here's how I judge it. If you are brand new to any software system at all, maybe you're coming from like paper or something, then basic might actually be just fine for you because it's got all the core CRM and project management things that you need. And it's a great way to get started, and then you can decide if you want to upgrade. If you have used software, using Excel to manage your business or anything like that, then you're going to want the features in Pro or higher. And we've got the pricing tiered, so it's only $10 more to go Pro per user than it even is to do Basic. So it's pretty affordable considering there's a massive amount of stuff that you get with Pro that you don't get on Basic that I think you'll want. Now, our sales team can kind of go through that with you, show you the pros and cons, and let you decide. I mean, at any level, you're going to get great value. It's just really deciding on how much you want to take advantage of all the features we have.
Wonderful. All right, Ronnie, go ahead and go, and then we have a couple more questions just to wrap up everything.
Okay. All right. So for the automations, a couple of things that you want to keep in mind. If you're going to structure email that you want to send out by automations, the very first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into your templates. And the very first thing you need to do is just go in there and hit add a template and go into your emails. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to structure these first. And the reason why that is when you get ready to set the automation up, it's going to ask you what template do you want to use for this automation. So if we are talking about setting up automations for emails, then you can just go in here and name it, whatever you want to. You can actually set this up. I do want to show you this, so it's kind of cool. So if you go in here and then under insert template field, it gives you the ability to just kind of come in here to the customer's name, and then you'll be able to kind of pick out like what the customer's first name is. And then so it'll just automatically populate that. So you can do this with the first name, you can do this with your sales reps, set your templates up first, and then once you have your template set up, then you would go into your automations. So when you're setting up your automations right here, the first thing that you're going to want to do is on the right hand side, you'll see where it says add a rule. And then right here, you can name it. So like if you are wanting to create an automation for permits. So if you had someone in your office that just did the permit, so you could do permit. Right here, the trigger type is the exact same thing I was telling you about as far as the event-based or time-based. And if you'll notice right here, there's a little question mark. When you pull it up, it explains the two things that we just were talking about earlier that you can do. So when you get ready to set up like an event base, depending on how you are using Job Nimbus. So if you're using either contacts or jobs, that would determine what you're going to pick here. So we're just going to leave it as contact right now, and then I'm going to go ahead and put created or modified. And the way this reads is when a trigger is event-based, when a contact is created or modified, okay, well, what is my condition? What is it that I am wanting to do here? At this point, when you get into here, then it's going to ask you the type. So there's different things that you can do when you're setting the condition. So the condition is technically your processes, which is your statuses. So whatever you have customized, whether it's like leads, scheduled appointment, inspection, no damage, whatever you want to do there. So if you pick a status, what that is telling me, well, what do I want it to do? So if I was talking about like pulling permits, then I would pick a permit. And so now what happens is when a contact is created or modified, if the status is equal to permits, now what is the action that I want to take? Do I want to do a task, or do I want to actually do an email? And then so right here, it pops this up for you. So this way you can create either a task or an email. So in this case, I'll just say I'm going to create a task for this, and then I'm going to continue. Now, the cool thing about this is task types are very customizable. So you can go into our system and create different tasks for like adjusters appointments or pulling permits. And so you can customize these tasks and name them what you want. And then you just have the ability, you can even set priorities, which is really huge, because when you're using the automations, if you use the effectiveness of it, you're putting automations to where your pain points are. So if something is always falling through the cracks, then put an automation there, and then you can set it your priority. And what the priority does is on the actual dashboard on your task, it's either red, yellow, or white. I think high is red. That means this is what I need to work on first, right? So then you can go in here, build this out, and then right here under the assign to, this means that you can assign this to whoever. So like if I wanted it to go to the sales rep, by me picking sales rep, whichever sales rep is assigned to that job, then they would get it. If you wanted someone in the office, then I could go in here and I could pick multiple people into this automation. And then once I hit save, well, I guess I need to name it. And then once you save it, then at that point it creates the actual, there we go. It'll create it the way you want. And the email ones just work the exact same way. If you're going to do a time-based automation, so if you go into time-based, it's a little bit different. So when you pick time-based, you can say, hey, when do I want to run this? So like if I have a 3-day follow-up, then I can put in here 3 days. And I could say after it was created, and then I could set the same thing. So this still works the exact same way in setting the conditions of this. I can do it based on the status of where it's at. So if it's a follow-up I wanted to do, we'll call it 10-day. So I could do a 10-day, and then basically what's going to happen is in 10 days, it'll just basically send, once that customer has hit that status and it has set there for 10 days, boom, it sends the email out. And that the automations is pretty simple, very easy to use. Did that help anyone? Did that answer your question?
Yep. Dan just goes, cool, cool, cool.
Nice. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate you, buddy.
We do have a couple more questions. So one,
Yeah.
I think Bridget had a great question. She said, if we integrate natural forms for our contract, is there a way to convert this contract into an estimate, or do we need to start the estimate from scratch?
So let me speak into this in 2 different ways. Natural forms is a really good way for contracts, especially when you're wanting to customize your contracts in the way that you want it to look. What happens is when you use natural forms, whether it's your contingencies, your service agreements, whether it's COCs or anything like that, certificate of completions, you can create those forms and it brings it in as a PDF. Okay, when it brings it into a PDF, it doesn't let me convert that PDF into like an estimate. So what it does is you can pick the ones that you want right through the mobile app. It'll put in the customers' names and it'll fill that information. They can fill it out and it will attach those documents into that record. And so that piece of it, it works really, really good. We got a great integration with natural forms on that. But when you're talking about the estimates, it won't let me take a natural form and then convert it into an estimate. However, one of the things that you can do, instead of like going in there and creating an estimate from scratch every time, you can go in there and do some saved templates. And so by creating these saved templates, then when you pick the template that you want, it would pre-populate the information that you want into the estimate. So you're technically not having to create it from scratch. It just means that you're looking at the contract or whatever it was that you had. Then you can go in there, pick the template you want. It'll drop the estimate in there. And then all you're doing is just changing a few things as far as dollar wise. Great question.
Perfect. And yeah, Ronnie, it looks like we are a little over on time. So everyone, if you do have any further questions, please reach out to us. Ronnie's team, customer support, we will definitely get you to the right person to be able to answer your questions and get you going. So Ronnie, I'll turn the time over to you to just kind of wrap it up.
All right, nice. Just to end this, there we have some special offers. Now, listen, first thing you got to see is free setup. Let me explain this. We have in the last year, we have created some really good programs for even new customers that have been coming in. So if you're a new customer, even existing customers, if you want to take advantage of this, I recommend you reaching out to our sales team, and they can kind of go through some of these special offers in terms of what we're doing now, and be able to kind of tap into some of these percentages off on data migrations and stuff like that. So there are some things that we're doing that you can actually get into. Just reach out to our sales team, tell them that you were on my segment and you're interested in this special offer, and then Sarah and Rachel can get with our team to let them know that y'all may be reaching out. So if you want to take advantage of some of these things, just reach out to the sales team. They'll be more than happy to assist you there. Basically, one of the things that we would like to say, if you are new to Job Nimbus or you've been thinking about wanting to use our software, but you just haven't done that yet, I want to challenge you and encourage you to reach out to our team, and they do a wonderful job. They can do a demo with you. They can kind of go into some of the things that I did more on a one-on-one basis with you. So here's some information right here. My understanding that you guys will be getting this slide deck, so this information will be in here for you to where you can be able to get this information. And I believe that is it, guys. That's everything. It has absolutely been my pleasure to be with you guys today. I hope everyone stays safe. Thank you so much, and y'all have a great day.